This is part 9 of Angular 14 series. In this session, I will discuss about the authorization. Before jumping to the code, let me explain the things what actually I'm going to implement in this session. So how to remove options based on user role, means if user logged into the system based on the role like admin, supervisor, based on the role, that user will have a specific options. Okay, and then how to create custom directive and use that. So actually to achieve that, remove the options, what we do, actually we create a custom directive which will resolve our problem. Okay, so that directive name would be authorized directive. To achieve all the things, I have pointed out the steps I need to we need to follow in our current application. Okay, first now we'll create iUser interface inside core folder for user details. Flip to Visual Studio Code. Now here let me search that auth service ts file. But here if I check on that load user, there is no intelligence or any type is there, what kind of data actually it is returning, right? So here I can see observable of any. So I don't want that any to be, I want instead of any that would be iUser. Okay, also if I want to get the access of user from out of this class, for that also we need to write some getter setter property. Okay, so let's create. So inside core folder I will create one more folder that is called models, and inside this model I would use user.interface.ts. This interface basically, as we are using the TypeScript, all of we know how we were struggling with the JavaScript to get the intelligence. Worst scenario was that typing mistake, but here in this TypeScript scenario we won't have that if we use the TypeScript as it is, right? So now here I will write export interface and then iUser, and this iUser will have some of the properties. So these are the properties, basic properties, which will we are expecting from this iUser. Okay, now here I will write one private prop that is called user, which will be type of iUser, and let me create one getter for this user, return this user. Now let me quickly initialize the basic value. Okay, now come to this. What I will do here, instead of this user equals to, I will use spread operator. First name is there already, profile pic path, this will be assigned from this object dot this, and then role name user code. Okay, role name, okay, role we have only role name. If you have something different property with the API response property, then you have to do like this way. I mean, you have to map your model basically. Okay, now, and the user code also that is there, let me use that user code. Okay, now in this another token we don't require this one. Okay, now user code already is the same as we have in the API response, so that is what we are not mapping that property here. Okay, what are the property, different property, those property I will map, otherwise all to be automatically mapped. And now here I will return user. Okay, now let's save this change and go to the browser. Here I can see one more problem now arised, that is called, these are the things actually it is not found by the template. Now if I go to the dashboard content HTML, here I can see, okay, let me go to that TS file. Okay, what is the error exactly it is coming? Oh, sorry, so this token actually I have removed. Let's say one more thing is there. Okay, user code I have added, that is not initialized. Now save the change. Now see, now all the things is coming as it is. Now next thing is, now we have to create, let me close all the change, I mean file. Now let me go to that. Now here next step is to create, okay, third step is create custom directive called authorize. Okay, now it's time to create the directives. So for that, what I would do, okay, so inside this core folder I will create one more folder that is called directives. Okay, directive, inside this directive I would create authorize dot directive.ts file, and here I will write export class, then maybe authorize directive, and this directive should implement after view init this lifecycle hook. Okay, and this lifecycle hook help us to get the inputs and other stuffs. Okay, now here I can see class is using this, but please add explicit angular decorator. Okay, here I will use the decorator as directive. Okay, now this directive expecting an object, and this object is having some of the properties, but among those properties I am going to use this selector property. And if I see, this selector is the string type, and here is the definition, how do you create the selector. So here we can use the selector as element name, class, attribute value, as we use for CSS to write the class with the help of selector. Same way here also we can do. Okay, now here, as I'm going to use as attribute based directive, so here I would use authorize. Okay, let me close that. Okay, authorize directive, and here I will use input, sorry, input, and this input, and here I would allow roles, which will be a string array, and by default what is there, has no initializer. Let's create the initializer here. Allow roles would be by default blank array. Now next step is to register this directive to the app module. Here let's register it, that is called authorized directive. Let's save this. Now go to the dashboard component. Let's say I'm going to use the directive inside one of the menus, that is called authorize. Okay, now if you mouse over on this authorize, there is no intelligence, but let me reload this window by pressing Ctrl Shift P. Now I can have the intelligence what exactly this authorize for. Okay, now see, if I mouse over on this authorize attribute, now it is saying this is an authorized directive, and this is having allow roles props, and which will be a string array. Okay, now here I will assign, let's say this menu will have access for admin and supervisor this one. Okay, now let's save it. Now open the browser. Let's see whether now that input is coming from the directive or not. Now if I now put a debugger here, and also if I put debugger, now reload the page. Now see this allow roles, I can see these allow roles having nothing is there, right? Now if I do continue, now I can see the roles, right? So now first time it was not there, because now when this authorized directive getting initialized, by that time class getting initialized but view not initialized. That is what first time, the value was not there in this allow roles, but after successfully view got initialized, then only this lifecycle hook works, as we all know. After that only we can have the input values. This is one. Okay, now array is coming admin and supervisor, right? Okay, now next things, whoever is using this authorize, and wherever we are using this authorize at directive to the element, so that element reference we should have, so that I can remove that element, right? So in that scenario, what I would do, go to the directive, and here I will inject element reference. Now I can see, now let me remove this. Now see, now this element, I can see here, if I go to the console and type here this dot el, now see this el is having one li. Actually this li is nothing but where actually we were using that directive, right? So we place the directive inside this products menu. That is what that reference is coming. Now I can have all full authority to modify to that element, right? So that is what actually we create the directive. So now here I can write the logic, check logged in user role is there inside the allow roles array or not. Okay, let me check that first. And also, yes, how this directive will get to know that logged in user information. So for that we have already that auth service we have. So by that auth service we can get that information, logged in user information. Now I can use logged in user role this dot auth context dot user. See, now we have that full intelligence. Now there won't be any chance to typing mistake. So now here I can see the role. Now let's save it. Now go to the browser, and one more time just check whether are we getting that user role or not. Okay, now do continue, and here I can see, yes, we have that admin. Okay, now go to the Visual Studio Code. Here I will write allow roles dot find index, and here r means role. If it is equals to this logged in user role, this find index actually returning a number. If the role is found, then it will return 0. If it is not found, then it will return a -1. Okay, so based on that return value, I can write here, or you can say here, I can write if it is equal to -1, that means what I can write here, authorize or not, or you can say is authorized. I can put the variable name, and here I will write, let me put enter here. Okay, so logged in user, if it is logged in user role and the allow role is found, then it will return definitely 0, and if it is not found, then it will return a -1. Okay, that -1, if it is returning, then I can tell is authorized, no, right, otherwise false, otherwise true. Now I can use this flag. If not authorized, then remove the element where you are placing this directive, dot native element dot remove. Now let's save this change and go to the browser. Let's do continue. Now I can see is authorized is true. Okay, now this won't remove the element. Now if I go to the HTML, whether my directive is working properly or not, let's see. If I tell to the application that this element will have access for supervisor only, okay, now open, got removed, right? Now if I undo this change, now I can see that product menu, it is coming, right? So in this way we can write the custom directive to authorize the option. So now you can place this directive wherever you want. Okay, now I would like to place this one here for products and orders. Okay, now these two options will be available for supervisor if supervisor do login, and other all options to be available for admin. Okay, now I can put other elements inside that. Now I can tell to this element that this element will have only access for admin. Now I can use this also, this one, the reports always to be available for admin. Okay, now go to the dashboard. So dashboard will be available for all, so that is what I'm not going to place this directive inside this on this dashboard element. Okay, now let's save, go to the browser. Now see this admin is having all the options. Now let me go to the login page, and here I have one more user code which is for supervisor. Now let's log in. Now see, the user is supervisor, and this for this supervisor we have only three options: dashboard, products and orders. Now that our custom authorized directive is working as expected, right? So now here, but here one problem, okay, big problem is there. That is, let me show you. Let's close the all things and go to the auth service. Now let's say, just imagine this endpoint can take some time to load the user, right? So in this scenario, what I'll do, let me test it, that scenario. Let pipe, and I will use the delay, let's say for 2 seconds. And this is actually I'm doing for testing purpose. Intentionally I'm just checking in that scenario, in that worst scenario, what will happen. Okay, let's save it. Now see, now it is waiting for something, right? Now let's go to the dashboard HTML here. Now let's cut this option and paste it over here. Okay, now save. Now see, that is not working, right? So it is taking some time to load, but by that time, now once we have this search in, what is called user, supervisor user, now see, all the options got removed. Now it is not working, right? So this is one disadvantage in this approach. How do we you know overcome this situation? I will explain in my next video. Okay, so for that, stay tuned and be safe. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.